so first thing I'm gonna do is just turn off the power again. And we're gonna pull our wires off. By the way, the part number for the box to replace is a Hawk box, and it's a 76840. Now, when removing wires from the circuit board, it's usually a good idea, especially if you haven't done it very many times, take a picture of your circuit board and you can pull all the wires off, and then when you go to put everything back together, you have a reference to look at where all those wires go. I've done this about a million times, and so I have memorized where all the wires go, so I'm not going to worry about doing that this time. But for anyone doing this your first time, that's probably a good idea. Just remove the pressure switch plug. You got your high limit plug. This is the top side plug. And then there's a plug for the lights. The high speed and low speed for pump 1, pump 2, and our neutrals all can come off, and then we can remove the heater wires. And then the ground wires are held in by Phillips screws. I'll just pull those out, set them aside. And actually, the new board will come with new screws for everything, so I'm just going to put those back in again because we won't need them. Pull the incoming power off, and on these clips they have the little white tabs. You just pull back each one, and then the wires should pull right on out. The last one is our ground, just a flathead screwdriver. Loosen that one up. The next step is to remove the jet pump wires from the actual box itself. I take a pair of pliers, pinch these things that hold the wires in place in the box. Sometimes when these are cold, they're a little more difficult to remove from the box. There we go. Okay. Alright, there's another wire that's on the circuit board here. It's this red jumper wire, and it goes from this jet 1 and 2, it's a J17 terminal, down to J3. What this red wire does is a jumper that decides whether or not the jet pumps are going to run off of a 110 circuit or a 220 circuit. And this one's running off of a 220 circuit. And you can change that by moving the terminal from that J17 over to J13. And that's because they use the same Hawk box for different tubs, and you can wire up the tub for a 110 circuit if you just wanted to plug it into the wall, but typically a 220 is going to be a little more efficient in heating and everything else. So, but I'm going to leave that wire in there, more so just for a reference, because I'm not sure how the new one comes out. If I need to move that wire over, then I will. The next thing we're going to do is, back behind the circuit board here, there's a nut that is holding the heater manifold to the back of the box, and that's basically, it's one, giving it a ground, two, it's just holding the box to the manifold, and it's all one part. But in this case, we don't need to drain the tub and remove the manifold, because we're just going to slip the box in over top of the old manifold. The nut that's back there is the same size that's here in the front, so you can kind of figure out which one you need. These nuts happen to be a 3/8 wrench. So I'm gonna reach back there, loosen up the 3/8 nut, pull that one off, and now we can do the screws that hold the box down to the, call it the skid plate. Now there's 2 in the front, and I believe there should be 2 in the back, which can be a little bit of a pain to get to. So I'm going to use my 90 degree elbow an extension down so I can reach those screws in the back, because there isn't a lot of room there to fit my screw gun. Okay, so I was able to remove these two screws that kind of hold that plate down there, and now I can rotate that a little bit better and get access to this one in the back easier. There, we can pull it all the way out. Now I'm going to put that wood plate back into place again. Alright, now we'll unbox the new Hawkbox circuit board. Okay, so really quick, I just wanted to show you the new circuit board next to the old one, and everything is pretty much the same. I can't really tell any differences. This hot tub isn't very old, so everything should be the same. And it does look like that from the factory they have placed that jumper wire in the same location as what is in our old one, so it should be already set to run off a 220. But I have had times where I unbox that and it's in the 110 position, which is, like I said, this other tab over here, which is connected to our neutral wire incoming power. And if you do want to do that, there are certain steps that you need to take to set that up, and one of them is placing a jumper spade within the terminal block here, and like I said, moving that wire over to the other terminal so it runs off of the neutral and only half the power that's coming in. So we will get this new box put back in. Also, there's a sticker right here that says 1.12T, which is the same that's on the old one, and that's the indicator for the software that this box requires. And I brought a thumb drive with me to put that software on there, but it's already on there from the factory, so I'm not going to worry about doing that. Although I might show you just for the heck of it anyway. Just pull the wires out of the way and slip the box right back in the way it came out. Just got to line it up with the manifold for that little stud in the back to go through the hole in the box so we can place that nut back on. Right there. And before I even screw down the box, I'm going to put that nut on there, just so everything's lined up where I want it to be. Pretty much just doing everything backwards the way we took it apart. We put it back together again. This is the ground wire for the heater. Put back on. We have our two heater wire terminals underneath the relays right there. Plug those back in, and then we're going to run our jet pump wires back in. So I just happen to be doing pump 2 first, doesn't matter which one you do. Also on your circuit board there's a line of grounding screws. First one's ozone, it says jet 2 pump, jet pump 1, and then heater, and then there's a APM, and they're all marked green, 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 green. Just because they're labeled as something doesn't mean that you have to put that jet pump onto that jet pump terminal for the ground. All of them are ground, they're all going to the same place. Ground is ground the world around. Doesn't matter where you ground them at, as long as they're grounded. Now it does make a little bit more it is a little more important to plug in the jet pumps where they are labeled. So on jet pump 2, that one is labeled white. So I'll plug the white wire in there. This one's labeled black. Plug that one in. This is the high limit. And that one is labeled high limit right here. We have the pressure switch, labeled pressure switch. Just make sure you're lining up all of your prongs with the holes the right way, so when you go in, the circuit board can take a proper reading that the sensors are giving. We got jet pump number 1 next. Okay, so it's on the circuit board labeled jet pump 1 low, and it says black, but like I told you, it is the red wire for low speed. And then down below, it's also labeled black and white for those jet pumps. Just confirm that you don't have a jumper spade in that terminal block. This one doesn't. Every once in a while they will send a new circuit board that has a jumper in there, so you want to pull that out. So I'll run the incoming power back in there. And on the terminal block is labeled N, L2, and L1, which of course is our neutral, line 1 and line 2. The neutral is the important one to place it in the right spot. The line 1 and line 2 aren't as important. They are both feeding the same amount of voltage. So if you're not sure if you're running the black wire or the red wire, both of those are sending the same amount of voltage, so it doesn't matter whether you're going into line 1 or line 2. The neutral wire is important to put that one in the right place. And once I get those wires in place, I like to just go back and grab a hold of them, give them a little tug, make sure they're in the terminal nice and solid. Every once in a while we'll get an issue where the incoming power wasn't solid into the terminal block, and it can create a voltage arc and cause issues with the hot tub. Maybe it's not receiving the full 240 amount, maybe not even a 120 amount, and I've had hot tubs only getting about 24 volts or 18 volts, and maybe the top side will light up but nothing else will work. So we just want to make sure everything is plugged in solid. The last one we want to put in is our green incoming ground. We had our LED lights wire. Got our top side to plug in right here. And then our regulating thermistor, or the temperature sensor. Like I said, make sure you got all of those prongs lined up with the holes on the plug so that it can give a proper reading of the temperature. Alright, get all those wires into the grooves on the side of the box. And now we will start up the tub and see what it does. So now I told you I was going to show you how to do the software if you needed to upload software. And what we'll do is just turn that back off again. Grab our thumb drive. On the circuit board, there's the USB port. Plug in. And then just turn the breaker back on. There's a little light there that's blinking. Give it a minute. Okay, that indicates that the software has been uploaded properly. Everything's looking good up here. Hot Springs tells you to properly do this, you then need to turn the breaker back off again, and then pull your thumb drive out, and then you can turn the breaker back on again. And that's it. We should be good to go.
Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below for future content from Leisure Time Inc.